on camera.
All right, guys, welcome back. Listen, man, we got a lot of crazy stories to talk about. We even had to cut some out because we just got so many so many on here to go through. But it's a lot of them that's kind of close to home because we're in Atlanta. So we're gonna start with the one of the top Atlanta stories. And you know, media is weird, right? So when you're doing something good as a black entrepreneur, people talk about it all day, right? Especially on black media. But when something kind of bad happens, when you post this type of content, you get backlash from it. And I already know we're going to get backlash from it. I don't care because I just like to educate people on business and like to give different perspectives. And I know me personally, I rock with the entrepreneur that we're about to talk about. So I don't really I don't care about how people are going to feel. But Slutty Vegan, it was some news. I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I follow like this Clark Atlanta type of, I think like a Spell House type of page. I don't know, because I went to one of their homecomings. I didn't go to none of the schools, but I just pulled up, right? So Slutty Vegan, the black-owned restaurant owned by Pinky Cole. So Pinky Cole started this brand, I believe in 2019, and it's a vegan brand, Slutty Vegan. They opened up multiple locations. So their first flagship location was in Atlanta. Then they expanded all across to her hometown, and now they're on Spelman campus. So Slutty Vegan, a black-owned restaurant owned by black woman Pinky Cole, is closing down its Spelman location after being voted out by the student union, or like the student restaurant union or whatever. And some of the students, I was just reading the comments. I reached out to some of the students. They wanted to stay anonymous, so I don't want to put their name out there. But a lot of the students were saying it was limited options and it cost too much. So if you ever had Slutty Vegan, you know they're not cheap. They're not a cheap option, right? It's a premium. It's a premium food, but they got voted out. And I'm not sure if you ever heard of the Twisted Taco. You ever heard of Twisted Taco?
I have.
So they're being replaced. Slutty Vegan is being replaced at the HBCU Spelman by Twisted Taco.
Okay.
So she started the brand in 2018. It's a fast-paced, plant-based restaurant serving burgers and fries, drinks, etc. And a lot of the students just basically felt that it's a good one or two options on there, but then after that, it gets very limited. And if they're going to be spending their money, when you're in college, you just want to be able to grab something
quick,
something quick,
cheap,
and quick, cheap. That's the recipe for a college student. And they voted her out. So when I seen that, I'm like, wow. For one, it's a HBCU, Spelman, all black women.
Yeah.
And the kicker that killed me was a lot of the women in the comments just kept saying, being black-owned, woman-owned is not enough. You need to serve my pockets. So when you hear that, what do you think when you hear that?
I think that's facts in a way, right? So, like you said, she opened in 2019, and black people in Atlanta are who helped her get off her feet,
Right.
And that's I love Pinky Cole. I love what she's doing. I love what her husband Derek is doing.
Yes.
Shout out to both of them.
He's from Philly. Remember we were just talking about the restaurant? Yeah,
exactly.
he's
He's
from
from Philly. They're both big time entrepreneurs, super successful. Recently, I heard, and I don't know how old the interview was, but I saw an interview that Pinky was doing where she was talking about how her business overhead was too high and how much money she was losing. So you got to remember, like, Pinky is somebody who was working in the television production. She worked in broadcasting like you and I.
Yes.
And so she just ventured into entrepreneurship and into the restaurant and food business and scaled it like crazy, right? But that doesn't mean you're going to be perfect at what you do. She doesn't have investors. Like
no, she did raise some capital now. I was going to bring that up.
Well, major investors is what I'm saying. It's like being around her, like I covered her story, her love story with her husband for Essence Magazine. I followed them for a weekend.
Okay.
And it got me to really thinking, and I was like thinking about other businesses like that sell like Whole Foods and, Chipotle came to mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, where did they start? How did they get as big as they are now?
Yeah.
And it's because McDonald's was a minority investor for them.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
major. That's
right.
because they're gonna help them with the supply chain. They're gonna help them with
Everything. The
yeah.
contracts that they're going to
Yeah.
get for labor and all of that. All the things that Pinky was complaining about in her interview would be eliminated if she had somebody like McDonald's.
So she don't have any industry investors.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
Thank you.
That matters a lot though because, like if let's say you got $20 million, but Nike got $20 million. Well, Nike $20 million is better if I'm starting a clothing brand.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yes.
So she doesn't have that. And so I think that just like any entrepreneur, you're going to make mistakes. This is not the only location to get closed. One of the locations in New York recently got closed, I think.
One location in Athens, Georgia, they got closed down. This is actually funny because Pinky talked about this too. They thought Pinky Cole was the lady from Black Lives Matter.
Oh.
And you know, Athens is real white, right?
Right.
That's where UGA is at. It was like right off UGA campus. And when she did like a grand opening, like the students like boycotted and like people was boycotting. They thought she was the lady from Black Lives Matter, but she like, no, I'm Pinky Cole. You know, they think everybody looked the same,
But
right?
that's the day and age that we live in, where any one little incident can, get you shut down. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that she's able to bounce back or just, figure it out where she can have as many locations as she can support, but not too much. But I hate that for her, though.
I do too. I'm gonna tell you what I think personally, and here I am. I ain't never owned a restaurant, right?
Right.
But this is my opinion. I think when Slutty Vegan as a concept, when there was one flagship restaurant and only the food truck, it was great because for one, you couldn't get it, and when you did get it, you was like, yes. It was long lines. Everybody was like real hyped to get it. But now, when you drive past her stores, I pay attention to stuff like this. When I drive past her stores, it's not people in there. And I know how the restaurant business operates. You drive past Chick-fil-A, it's a line around. The margins are thin. Like, they can't have empty restaurants or it don't make sense to keep the restaurant open.
Absolutely.
So, and I think the mistake, if you're going to call it, is she opened up too many local to the metro Atlanta area, which drove away the
novelty of it.
Yeah, the novelty of it. It's like, oh man, you can go to this store, you can go to this store. Our food truck right here is one on Spelman campus, is one over here, one over there. So I think it drove away that, and I think her business model would be great if it was like one flagship major store in every major city, like Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, LA, New York, Jersey,
But
Philly.
just one.
But just one nice flagship. I mean, then she can have a food truck that go around local to those areas as well. But I think that would bring back the excitement around the business. But however, it's still a tough industry. So Pinky is not the only one suffering in this industry. Beyond Meat, the brand that they use for a lot of these plant-based, the stock went from $14 billion to $300 million. So the industry as a whole is taking a hit. Kevin Hart, shout out to Kevin Hart.
The natural food industry?
No, the alternative meat industry.
Okay.
So Beyond Meat is one of the types of meat that is used.
Impossible Meat.
Impossible Burger, all of those. That company own that industry. Like, they're like the leader in that industry. And their stock at its highest was $14 billion. And now I just looked it up, like it's like $400 million, which is still a big company, but
it's not even $1 billion anymore.
Right, coming from $14 billion all the way to under half a billion dollars. That's a huge loss. Kevin Hart, he opened up a flagship store in LA. It was called something Hart. I'm gonna look that up real quick. But his was open for like a year, and he shut it down. Like, he had a similar vegan burger, fries, drinks, whatever. He had the same concept as Slutty Vegan. Okay. And Kevin Hart, this is Kevin Hart.
Right.
Like, Pinky Cole is like a girl just coming out of nowhere. Like you said, she worked in broadcasting behind the camera. Nobody knew who she was. But this is Kevin Hart. Like, he's like one of the most famous people in the world.
And he has money to play around with.
He has money to play around with. He can get all the investors, and it didn't work for him.
Right.
So it's a real tough industry, and Pinky, I mean, I I wish it would have worked out a different way with the Spelman. They only gave her like a year and a half. The store just opened up. They announced it 2 years ago in March, because it's March now. Exactly 2 years ago. The store didn't open on campus until like October.
Okay.
So it's only been open a year and some change. And if they're changing it now, that means 6 months to a year to when it opened, the students was like, "Nah, we not feeling that."
Wow.
For them to vote it off. So that's crazy. Let me look up the Kevin Hart restaurant real quick.
That's unfortunate.
Restaurant.
So is Impossible Meat like lab grown meat?
No, that's a whole different.
Okay.
That's a whole different lane. But it's kind of like it's kind of like the same thing. But that's a whole different lane. Kevin Hart closes vegan restaurant. Oh, he closed all locations. So he had a location in Los Angeles County, Winchester, and University Park, and in Hollywood. So the name of his restaurant was, they not saying the name of the restaurant? Hart House.
Okay.
Yes. And Keith Lee did a review of it. He said it was great. He said he's not really a fan of the alternative meat though, but I think he gave it like an 8 or 9 out of 10, so that was good. But
okay.
I mean, it's just a tough business to be in. So shout out to Pinky Cole.
Yeah, man, for sustaining it this long, and I'm sure that she's gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I believe she raised like $20 million though, which it sounds like a lot of money, but for a restaurant, that's not a lot of money.
Not at all.
Because the locations might cost $1.5-2 million.
Just the build out.
The build out, the overhead.
Your inventory expires daily.
Exactly. You got perishable products. It's a very, very tough business. So shout out to Pinky. She gonna figure it out. And
Twisted Taco's the replacement now?
Yes, they're replacing it with Twisted Taco.
Okay.
So they better be happy with that, because at that point, y'all just if y'all ain't happy with Twisted Taco over Slutty Vegan, I'm not really sure where y'all gonna go from there.
All right.
All right. Now we can go into
our next story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this story pretty much pertains to about 80% of people. If you shop online, listen up. There's big changes coming in 2025. If you want to return items, major retailers are thinking about charging you to do so. Some of these retailers include Amazon, H&M, Zara. And I guess the reason is because it costs retailers up to $30 to process returns. And in 2024, they lost a lot of money. It's reported that they lost $743 billion due to returns.
Wow.
And so in true American fashion, they want to turn that cost right around on you. So, yeah, I don't even know how returns work. I've never returned anything. Like, I just started shopping online probably 2 years ago because I'm little. Like, I'm way too little to be shopping online. I have to try my clothes on because I'm just that little. Like, if something says it's small, it doesn't mean that it's going to fit me. So,
right.
But what I did was I started like ordering one item from a retailer just to kind of see how their sizes go.
Right.
And then if it's a trusted retailer, I buy it. But if it's too small, too big, I don't return. I just take that L. I don't know about y'all, but I mean, sometimes the L is too big to take.
Yeah, I don't really shop online that much. I mean, I shop on Amazon for like everyday items and everyday products, but not nothing that I really wear. I like to shop. And I like to go in, try my stuff on, and walk out the store with it. I mean, I guess I'll buy shoes online, but even then, I'm more of a Foot Locker type of dude, going in there, seeing what J's are there, grabbing my J's. Or like now, if you trying to buy anything exclusive, they got like resellers. So now you got to meet up with a dude in the back of an alley to buy some Jordans now. So that's a whole nother conversation. But
it's concerning.
I can understand why they would want to do that, but like, here's the thing. Here's corporate America doing a reverse Uno because y'all got rid of all the retailers because y'all was saying it's better to shop online. It's cheaper and everything. We can serve y'all. We can give y'all any product. And now y'all trying to say, you know what? It's actually not that good to shop online because we're getting hit with these returns. So now we're going to charge you for it. It's like, well, that was the benefit of shopping retail.
Online.
And that was the benefit of shopping and going into the store. But now y'all got rid of all the stores. All these big retail chains are going out of business. So now, like Forever 21 just filed bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Zara is thriving though. H&M is probably thriving, but at least they have physical stores. But Amazon, you can return into Whole Foods and all of that. So I mean, that's okay. But I think it's going to stop a lot of people from actually pulling that trigger and testing out new brands. And I think this is a way to monopolize the market, because if you're a small business, you can't afford to give people a lot of these big returns and all of that. So I think it hurts a lot of small businesses when you constantly returning things.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon can, I don't care, they can eat the 700 billion or whatever, like they got the money, right? But when you think about these smaller brands and these like mid-level brands, it really, really hurts them. So I think that $30 probably is more so to the smaller businesses, because Amazon has Whole Foods. They have all of these big facilities that you can just drop it off at. So
I think it's going to compromise the integrity and the quality of items too, because
Facts.
they already take bogus pictures online. You can't tell what material something is made out of.
Facts.
They want to charge you a bunch of money. You're thinking it's a good product. Then when it gets to you, it's all flimsy and crazy looking. And now I got to pay $30 to return it. What if the item didn't even cost $30
item didn't even cost $30
to begin with? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're tripping, big tripping.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't know how long that's going to last, but again, the major retailers that are complaining about this and forking the industry in that way, you are not really that affected, because y'all already have the $1 billion systems in order to process the returns. It's going to be the smaller brands and the smaller businesses that are feeling this pressure, because like even when Amazon did the Amazon 2-day, 1-day shipping, now all these small brands are forced to up their stuff and trying to ship your stuff out in 1 day. And I had to even tell some of my friends, like, bro, you're not Amazon. Like, that's not the industry standard. The industry standard is 5 to 7 business days. Like,
Right.
Amazon standard is 1 day, because they got $100 billion to build out plants in every major city. You don't.
Yeah.
So, like, don't try to adopt something based off of what the market is doing in terms of Amazon, because you're not Amazon.
Yep.
So-
I think that's the same as what we were just talking about in the last story.
Yeah, I mean, you can't try to dictate your business based off of how Amazon goes. Now, this story, this is crazy, because I was just telling you about this. I'm like,
Yeah.
Trump said they're trying to take back the Panama Canal.
And I was like, no way.
You like, no way, that's never. I'm like, Jimmy Carter, who rest in peace, just died. Who was the president? He gave away the Panama Canal to the locals and to the people there. America helped finance. So the Panama. Okay, here's some background on the Panama Canal.
Right.
America didn't start the Panama Canal. Whoever came up with the idea, they tried to implement it. They didn't have the dollars and the infrastructure in order to build it out. America came in with all this big money, big brother, and said, we're going to finance it. So rightly so, they financed it. We should have owned it. Jimmy Carter came and gave it away. Now the Panama Canal, with e-commerce, and we have a global economy now. This is not just like back 100 years, it was like a national, like people didn't do business with, everyday people like you and me couldn't start a business and do business with China. Like, it just wasn't like that. You had to go local, get your products and your vendor. Now, me and you can have a business to where we're solely doing business with China, India, whatever, and that's where we source our products from. So the Panama Canal has increased in value. And now Trump been floating the idea that he want to take over Greenland, he want to buy Canada and make it the 51st state, and he want to take over the Panama Canal. I knew the Canada shit wasn't going to go. It's just not going to go. It don't even really make sense. Greenland is kind of like, that was like it's like fake news. He's just saying that.
So basically, he doesn't want to go after the white people. Go on.
Panama Canal, though, I was like, nah, I ain't gonna lie. If I was a bully in the government, I would want to take over the Panama Canal. And here's why. It was owned by China. The Chinese investors is who bought it, it was purchased from. So the billionaire, I'm going to mess his name up, but billionaire Adebayo Ongolis, he's a Nigerian billionaire who started a company called Global Infrastructure Partners. Now, he just recently sold that company to BlackRock. right? So he sold that company for $12.5 billion. That's how he became a billionaire. He's a lawyer, MBA student from Harvard. He's like, he's a genius, whatever. He sold it to BlackRock, and BlackRock put that money, and they're using his infrastructure because he's the infrastructure genius, not BlackRock.
Right.
They're using his infrastructure play to manage and grow and take over the Panama Canal. Now, they didn't take over the whole Panama Canal, but they're the majority owners, basically, because I think it's like 5 major canals, and they own 2 of them, and then they own 43 other ports around the country or around the area. So they are basically the largest shareholder in the Panama Canal. And when I was talking about it, it was kind of like a conspiracy, and I'm like, they're gonna take over. I'm like, Trump is not playing about that one, because that's the one he was the most quiet about, and that's why I thought he was really gonna take it over, because he doing press conferences about Greenland and Canada. I'm like, he's not really gonna do that. It's a smokescreen for what he really wants to do, and now the
Go
U.S.
after the poorer country.
Yeah, because they don't have they don't really have
Military.
Yeah, they ain't got no military. All they really have is the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And they're not white.
That they don't have it. They not. You right. They're not white, and they don't have any white allies.
There you go.
So Greenland, they got. They're part of Denmark, and that's a part of all. You get it.
Yeah.
Canada is Canada. I mean, they got business with Russia. They got business Canada is. Even though they like our little brother, they like our little brother. Like we can really take over Canada if we wanted to, but it'll be tough.
To our detriment, they're our bordering neighbor.
Yeah.
Anytime you're trying to take over your bordering neighbor, it could be to your detriment. Could be.
Yeah. So I be knowing what I'm talking about.
No, I mean I have to give it to you. I still don't think it's right. I still don't like it.
Why don't you like it that it's now under U.S.? So would you rather the Chinese own? Because the Chinese own 89% of it, and now the U.S. basically bought them out.
Yeah, I mean, if it turned around and meant something positive for the American citizens, maybe, but I think Panama should own their own canal. That's a hot take, but that's my take.
Is it theirs though if they didn't build it?
But it is though, because they did help build it, and they had an agreement with the United States to, after a certain time frame, that they would own it. And so I don't think that it's fair when Chinese, European, or Western countries go to other countries, build something, bring their own people in to build it, and then hire their own people to maintain it, and then own it, and then tax the people there, and then the people there never own it for eternity.
Unfortunately, that's what's going on in Africa.
That's what always goes on, and I'm from Africa, so that's why it hits home for me, because I totally understand how the future of our world goes.
Because it's like we loan, just like, same thing with Ukraine. We loan you 150, 160 billion, and now it's like, okay, it's time to cash in on that. Oh, you don't have it? So
and it's rich people and it's private companies that benefit off that. That's why we pay our federal income tax in America, is because we're in debt to the Rothschilds and to the Morgan family because of a bad deal that our government did for us. So we're not exempt either, Yeah. But it's just when I see it in other poorer countries. Panama is one of the, if not the richest country in South America and Central America, and it's because of that canal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I knew that was going to happen. But let's jump to your girl.
Yeah, this is sad.
You don't really?
Oh, I see. This is where me and you we're gonna fight now. Let's get into it. So, it's been trending online and on social media this week that actress Jurnee Smollett. Now, some of well, I guess you know what, she's kind of old school and new school.
Yeah, people know about her from what's that?
From Lovecraft Country.
And she was on Roll Bounce too.
She was on Roll Bounce, and back in the day,
that's how I knew her.
I knew her from Eve's Bayou, but I knew her even before that. She used to be on Full House.
Oh, I didn't remember her from Full House.
She was Stephanie's friend on Full House. But anyways, her ex-husband. Now, so she paid her ex-husband when they got a divorce. They divorced in 2021, and she's already paid him $1 million in their initial divorce settlement. But you know how it is for beta men. It's never enough. So now he wants basically her pension. This girl has been an actress since she was 3 years old. And she was a smart black woman, saved her coins. And now he wants half of her pension, her retirement. Like he wants the money that she earned in her childhood.
Yeah, because when you're a childhood actor, a lot of that money is put into like a trust or a pension or whatever.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of these actors be going broke by the time they're 18, 19. But she, like you said, she's a smart woman and really invested, put her money into this pension. Now he wants half of it. But again, I'm not mad at him for wanting half of it because he has the leverage to ask for it because he was the spouse that didn't make as much money, and because of the marriage laws in America, men get taken to the cleaners every single day at these courthouses, and don't nobody cry river. Tyrese was just crying online. Everybody made him a meme because he had a prenup, and the judge still granted this lady $600,000 in attorney's fees when it clearly said in the prenup no attorney's fees. So now he's trying to appeal this and fight this. He's out of $600,000, and everybody is laughing at him. But now people want sympathy for her. All I'm saying is, sweetheart, this is why this is why you need
cars.
This is why you need a prenup when you're going into marriage, especially if you're the spouse that has the most money. Not because if you're the man, because sometimes you like these women out here making real money now. Like back in the day, a woman wanting a prenup was kind of crazy because it's like, well, women don't make that much money just because of how America was set up. Women only started being able to get bank accounts in the 70s. So think about that. Like,
right.
If you can
so
only get a bank account.
So now we're trying to catch up, and you're like, take them to the cleaners. We've
I'm not saying take them to the
literally
cleaners.
been catching up in the last 40 years, and you're like, it's an even playing field now. Take them to the cleaners. That sounds familiar. I've heard this somewhere.
What I'm saying is, this is why it's very important to get a prenup no matter who you are, because, and I'm going to advocate to get the prenup for the woman if she has the most money. But if she don't have the most money, if it was my friend, I'd be like, nah, don't sign that prenup. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm biased. Saying I'm not biased. I'm definitely biased towards the person who don't make the most money. If you don't make the most money and don't have the most assets, it benefits you not to have a prenup. Now you have leverage to do things like this when you get a divorce, because most marriages end in a divorce. Let's just be honest. So in this case, she probably was young, really married for love, really loved this guy, and now he has the leverage to just be like, hey, let me get everything that she was paying him $7,000 a month since they filed for divorce. And you know, divorces might take 2 years,
Right.
3 years, 4
Absolutely.
years. So she's came out over $1 million, and he still won't half of it. This is what women do to men every day, though.
So here's my thing. I look at the women's struggle as the same as the black struggle. I look at men as having a 400-year head start on women, the same as white people in America.
Even black men?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to give us 400
and
years.
then
but
I will give you guys longer than that, because this is a man's world. It always has been a man's world. So the structure of it, right, is for a man. We still earn less than you guys do on the dollar for the same jobs. Now they're getting rid of DEI. DEI was around for like 25 years, and they're like, that's too long, get rid of it, right?
Yeah, because white women benefited the most, and then
women.
black women.
But they're women, right? So I'm taking women, right? We just got the opportunity to start earning money. We're still not earning it at the same rate. We're still not hired at the same rate. We're still not funded for our own businesses at the same rate. None of it is at the same rate. And then on top of that, we have to bear children. Every single person that's born on the planet came through a woman's labor and being pregnant for 9 months.
Right.
That's that. Tons of women, more women, give up careers or the ideas of careers to stay home and nurture children and nurture their husbands and take care of their households.
Facts.
So because of all of those things, I just don't look at it the same. I'm not saying that women should take men to the cleaners and leave them sleeping on their mom's couch. That's not cool either. That's not what I'm saying. But it is a fact that you guys are better off because you guys are in a world, and it's not just America as a country, it's the whole planet. It's structured for you guys.
Well, it's better in America for women than around the world, because around the world, a lot of women don't even really have rights today.
Exactly. But you know, you guys can, when we go to a public restroom, toilet paper is there for everybody to wipe their ass for free, right?
Right.
But me, every month, I got to have a menstrual. And they don't just have that in the bathroom for me for free. It might, some bathrooms, as a courtesy, and you're like, oh, this is nice, right?
Yeah, but
the
that's
same thing that's happening to me as a person is not looked at as the same thing to you. And so we're just at a deficit in general. And so I think that prenups should be in place, but I don't think that it should be a prenup where it's like, you get nothing if we get divorced, sign this, right? Because that's not fair. A lot of women really do give up everything to take care of their families. And so you know, and I know, like we were talking about on last episode, when you are out of a job, sometimes it takes a year, 2 years, right?
Yeah,
And
to get
people want to
back.
know, why is this gap happening in your resume? So when you have a woman who stayed at home and raised her family for 10 years or worked part-time because she was taking care of her family, she's divorced and now she's trying to get back into that workforce. Again, she's set back a decade in that, even in trying to start her career. And then the older you are, nobody wants to hire you when you're 40, 50 years old. They're looking at you, you know, like you're old, you don't have any experience. What's going on here? So I just think as the world is structured, there should be certain protections for women who invest in their families. And if this guy was a stay-at-home dad and he was just raising their kids, you know, and he's at a deficit as well, then he might need a help. But in general, you guys are men. Like, let's be for real.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. He's benefiting off of the labor or the laws of the land of America that benefits millions of women every year. He just so happened to be a man, and America is such a capitalistic society that money determines who's the head of household, who's the leader, all of it. So a lot of women, when they are high earners, this is why a lot of them struggle to find good men, because if you make $1 million a year, well, now you need a guy who make 5 million to feel like you can submit and and put your career on the back burner. Why would you put your $1 million acting career on the back burner for a dude who probably just working at UPS or something? It ain't nothing wrong with
And
UPS.
even that's a deficit.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with UPS, but it's like, bro, if she's making millions of dollars, you got to take that role where, like you said, taking the kids to school, being at home, because you don't make as much money as she make. So he's simply benefiting from the laws that were put in place to benefit women, but those laws had they had no foresight to think, oh, maybe, just maybe in the 2000s, women are going to be making millions and millions and millions of dollars. When these laws was made to protect women, quote unquote, they were not thinking that women was actually going to start getting advanced careers. They were going to start making millions of dollars, being CEOs, owning companies, having assets. A lot of these assets, if you couldn't have a bank account, that means you couldn't get a mortgage, because now you can't show that you actually even have income coming in. If you couldn't have income coming in, how you going to acquire any assets? So essentially, in the 1970s, you couldn't even own real assets as a woman unless you had a husband or a
Yeah.
man. So
In the 1970s, that was so recently. That's my
That's
mom's,
very recent,
maybe
yeah.
my generation. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'm confused when you say like to protect women, quote unquote. Like women don't need protections.
No, they
You're
do.
sitting here laying out how
No, they do.
until dang near my generation or my mom's generation, women couldn't do anything. So
Right.
in one generation, now we're starting to get a footing. So do you think that the protections that were put in place were not needed before, or they weren't real protections?
No, what I'm saying is, when I say quote unquote, all I'm saying is when people put those laws in place, they had no idea that in the next generation, in 40, 50 years, that women were going to be making this amount of
A
money.
small percentage of women. This is like a very nuanced situation. You have
mean, it is,
her,
but
you
it's-
have
but it's
Halle
still a-
Berry, you have Mary J. Blige. They're sprinkled in, but overall, women are still doing worse than men.
I know, but what I'm saying is, in this situation, if the roles were reversed, if that was
It wouldn't be a story.
it wouldn't be it'll be a story, because people would be mad at the woman saying, oh, she a gold digger taking all this money. But
yeah,
now
yeah.
it's because the laws, like, okay, when you make a law, just like America was not like the Constitution and Bill of Rights and all that. It did not have Black Americans as, they didn't even look at us as citizens.
Right.
So now that Black people are citizens, and they like, well, why don't no political party work for the Black community? It's like, well, you wasn't even it wasn't designed to work for you anyway.
There you
so
go.
now you got Black Americans And you got,
There you
and
go.
that's the same thing with women. The economy wasn't even designed to have a woman making millions of dollars. So the idea that
There you
he's
go.
asking for this money, it's a headline now, but the laws were written to protect her, and now they're being used to weaponize against her because it's like, yeah, just because you're the 1% of women, you make $1 million.
It's affecting her.
Now it's affecting you, but you can't say, all right, well, that's unfair. It's not unfair because just like it's hurting her, it's protecting a million other women.
No, it is. He's just lame. That's all. I mean, if it was the other way around, you guys would be like, she's a gold digger, so I'm gonna call him a lame.
I
Like
don't- that's
he's a lame. This lady been working her entire life, like exploited already from a child and all of that. And so now you want to continue to dig your heels into
But
that
why
experience.
is he a lame? Because he's using the leverage that gets used on him.
He's a lame.
All the time.
He's a man. Get up and use your testosterone. That's what God gave it to y'all for.
See, this
I
is
mean,
why
we don't even have testosterone. Like out of 1 week out of every 4 weeks, we're down bad as women. Like it's our experience to even, yeah.
I don't like that.
Ladies, help me out in the comments, man. That's all I can say.
I do not like that because, again, the laws that y'all benefit from as a collective are the same laws that slap some of y'all in the face.
We need it, though. It's the same thing what's happening with black people in DEI. They're getting rid of it because they're like, hey, this is reverse discrimination. Is it really, though, when you guys had a 400-year head start? My goodness. Let us live. And by us, I mean women.
Yeah, it happened to Mary J. Blige. It happened to, you said Halle Berry.
Yeah. And girl that's in Escape right now. Her husband is spending all her money on his side chick.
What's Escape? What's that?
The group with Tiny and Candy and them.
Oh.
Latasha, ain't that her name?
Yes.
Her husband spending all her money on side chick. How about Wendy Williams?
Oh, yeah, Wendy Williams got cooked.
With Wendy Williams, I will say this. Her husband was down for her from the beginning. He did believe in her, and he did invest time, sweat equity, and money into her.
So how much should he get?
I don't like the way he was doing her. I feel like he was clowning her, but he definitely deserved like a good, healthy amount of money that he'd be able to live on because he spent his whole life being her manager, So when you're tied into your business, I understand you're going to need something, but it's like, why the overdoing it?
But why, when it's a woman, they should automatically get 50%, but when it's a man, it's like, we should give you a little sprinkle of something so you can keep going.
Well, I think even with the women being 50%, I think that I'm not biased, right? If I just met you this year and you were already a millionaire, we're married for 2 years and I leave, I don't deserve half of your money. Let's be for real. So I want that to be understood. I'm not saying that women are just entitled to what somebody else worked hard for.
But if you like the DJ Mustard, like DJ
Mustard did his wife wrong.
He did his wife. Yeah, he did her wrong.
Man,
but he had a prenup. He did her wrong though. He did her wrong.
I feel like prenups should be made in the beginning when the love is still there and you value that person and all of that. Because in any type of relationship, not even just romantic, how many friendships have you seen, right? Where one friend is there for the other one, they're always supporting them. Something goes wrong, and then the one who's benefited is like, you didn't do anything anyway. Because it's a convenient thing to say.
In DJ Mustard's situation, they were married. Well, they were dating for like 11 years, and he got a prenup when he proposed or whatever, and then they were only married. I mean, they was only married for like 10 months, and then he filed for divorce.
She still gave him over a decade of her life.
And
gave him a decade of her life without
kids.
a title and commitment. Like, to even put somebody on ice for that long when you're already playing house, obviously he put her on ice that whole time because of the money situation. And she still went with it, so do her better than that, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough conversation to have, because when you're the boss woman, the boss chick in the relationship, it's hard to navigate that, because it's like, well, you want to submit to your man, you want to have a traditional marriage or traditional relationship, but at the end of the day, your money is going to trump all those other traditions, and that's just how America works. Like,
but
the
that
money
sucks. That's another thing that I'm saying that women have to deal with, is the notion that you can't even, if you make a lot of money and you're super financially good, then it's going to hurt you in your personal and romantic life.
Well, that's because women don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Women don't know how to use leverage. Men, we walk around with leverage every single day, and we know how to contain it. That's a part of our masculinity, is knowing how to contain our leverage. We can literally, like, we strong enough to hurt women. A lot of us don't do it. Some of us do, unfortunately. But that's a part of your masculinity, being able to know you can take over this or know you can dominate something, but you don't do it. Women, unfortunately, do not know how to have that. When they have leverage and when they have some type of authority, a lot of women abuse it and use it and throw it in your face. That's why a lot of men will sit around and be like, I'm not even about to deal with that girl who make 200 because I make 80. She gonna throw it in my face every single day. And like Kevin Samuel said all the time is, it don't really matter how much your woman makes because a lot of women not about to spend that money on you anyway. You make 200, you're not about to be splurging and buying him bags and all that. But if the roles are reversed, then that man is expected to fund and take care of your whole lifestyle, even though you make a lot of money.
That's
so
interesting.
Women don't know how to handle that authority and that leverage. And in his case, he just using his leverage.
You might be right. I'm going to have to think on that, James. You just might be right. I mean, and some of it might be that, women start puffing out their chest because they know that they're succeeding in an environment or in a world that wasn't structured for them to succeed. And so there is that extra bit of like, this is supposed to be for you. And I'm doing, it's the same thing we do to white folks when we're doing better than them. This whole thing was designed for you, but I'm doing better than you and you're mad at me.
Exactly.
So, but it doesn't make it right nonetheless. So I'm going to think on that, James. Thanks.
All right, speaking of boss women, one of my favorite female artists, Summer Walker, she got a new boyfriend and he was on live. Clout chasing. Why you on live on a conversation with your girl? She on live talking to him like they just having a regular conversation, and she slipped and admitted that she wear fake designer clothes.
I did see that.
Now, a lot of celebrities actually, Kim Kardashian actually came out and said this. I don't know if you ever seen the clip when Kim K lost her like $80,000 earrings in the pool.
Yeah.
She said ever since that day she wear dupes.
Yeah.
Like, because that's just too much money.
It's too much money to lose.
To be losing.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking about the jury and all of that. And then she got robbed, remember?
Yeah.
In Paris or whatever.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So she said she wear, like, her jury, she said she wear dupes. So obviously Summer Walker wearing dupes too, because she admitted to wearing fake designer clothes, probably wearing fake jewelry.
I blame her lame boyfriend that she makes more money than.
See?
Cloud chasing. Ladies, we got to do better for real, man.
I mean, he definitely shouldn't have been on live on the phone with your girl, because Summer Walker seems like the type of person who's going to say anything, which is exactly what she did.
He know his girl. He knows she's going to be saying whatever she wants. So what do you think?
I mean, I think she spoke something that a lot of celebrities, a lot of celebrities do. Once you have that type of money. Now, here's the crazy thing about it. When you broke, that's like, I'll never do that. I'll never wear this. I'll never wear it. Like, they want to go. They get pride from going to the mall and spending $10,000 on Prada, Gucci, and Louis and all of this. Mm-hmm. But like when she got money, she's not broke. She probably got to the point where like, damn, I'm spending all my money on this designer. Well, let me go get some bullshit, and the fans gonna think it's real anyway because I'm Summer Walker.
Exactly, because I'm rich and famous, so they're gonna assume it's real anyway.
So I mean, I don't actually blame her. I mean, the boyfriend didn't have to be on live on the phone with her, so that's actually crazy. But people gonna forget about it anyway. The next time they see her at a concert or whatever.
I mean, Rick Ross has more money than most people.
Yeah.
And he was wearing fake designer. And then when he got called out,
when was that?
Yeah, he had some backpack. He was getting on his private jet. I think it was like Louis Vuitton. And Louis Vuitton actually came out and was like, we don't make that backpack.
Oh, my God. I had to look that up. I didn't see that. That seems like something that would go on because he always, like, shooting his content, getting on his plane or whatever.
He don't care.
But, I mean, if you got a plane with your name on it, do you really care if your bag fake? I don't. I mean, I'm getting on a plane.
True.
With my name on it. So,
true, yeah.
I feel like more celebrities do this than people actually realize.
Absolutely.
Like, and you've been in the industry a lot longer than me. You probably met a lot of more celebrities than me. Have you ever heard of any other celebrities doing this other than Kim K and obviously Summer Walker?
Yeah.
You said Rick Ross.
I have. I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head, but I've definitely seen that headline.
I mean, Ocho Cinco.
Okay.
He said that all the time.
Oh, he did say it. Yeah, he said he'd do his girl's makeup to save money.
Yeah, he said it all the time that like once he got money, he started wearing fake jewelry because they thought, I mean, they can Google his net worth. So he like, if I got an $80 million contract, what's the point of going to buy a bunch of jewelry?
I mean, I think this is need to be a lesson learned from people who can't afford it. Chill out.
Yeah, but those people.
Stop breaking the bank to go to these stores, man. And I'm not saying wear fake stuff. I'm just saying stop overvaluing even the real stuff.
Those people get self-esteem from
It's not even real material.
Yeah, I mean, but
A lot of times, like the brown Louis Vuitton is not even leather. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, go in the store and ask them. They'll tell you all about it. It's not real leather. Only the black stuff is real leather.
So mine's real leather right there. That's the real leather.
Yeah, because it's black. But if it would have been brown, no sir.
I spent some money on that too. I wish I could have got a Summer Walker hookup, but no, I spent some bread on that.
I remember Dolph was making me laugh. Young Dolph, he was I think Dolce & Gabbana sent him like a Christmas gift around Christmas. Mm-hmm. He was excited opening it on live, and he opened it. It was like a cupcake or like a muffin or something. He was like, "Man, I spent $300,000
right,
on Dolce last year, and all y'all give me is this muffin." He threw it down on the ground, man.
He spent all this money.
Yeah.
But Southwest Airlines, they just announced after 54 years they are getting rid of their free bags. I guess you can check 2 free bags. I only flew Southwest a few times, so
they're so limited on where they go.
Yeah, I don't. And then it'd be like multiple connected flights, so I don't like the connected flights. I mean, like the stops or whatever. So I'd rather just go on a Delta or Spirit. Like I use those are 2 I fly. But their chief technology officer in September ran an analysis when the company floated this idea. And he said they're more likely to lose money. Mm-hmm. And corporate America being corporate America, what they do, instead of taking his advice, they fired him.
Of course.
And then they just announced that they're getting rid of, and they're going to start charging for bags. And now a lot of people are saying they're going to go away and use different airlines because they have to charge for bags. Well, now I might as well go check out Delta Price, Spirit, Frontier, American Airlines, United. So now they don't have that competitive advantage anymore. So, yeah, so I'm going to be watching their stock because if this chief technology officer is actually right, mm-hmm. Well, not chief technology, I'm sorry, chief transportation officer.
Okay.
So that means that's all he do is study the transportation industry, and he studied the trends and the customers, and he knows more than anybody. He knows more than the CEO. The CEO just talk to investors and manage the executives. He don't really know what the customers want.
Right.
So, do you fly Southwest? And
nah, I think I flown Southwest maybe once or twice. I did like that the bags were free. I didn't like that they don't have seat assignments. I think it's like first come.
Well, now they're switching that too.
Kind of thing. I didn't really care for that.
Yeah, they're switching that too.
Yeah, I mean Southwest. That's what we know them for, free bags. So good luck with that.
They switching that too. Now they're gonna have like some type of economy seating. So I guess you are gonna be able to purchase like a more premium seat, and those who don't purchase a premium seat, they'll have like economy seating. So I don't really know how that's going to work out because in business, you need that one competitive advantage. An airline is a commodity. You can fly on any flight. Mm-hmm. So what's going to be your competitive advantage? Like Spirit competitive advantage is cheap, but they charge you and nickel and dime you for everything. So if you really get the full experience you want, you're going to end up paying Delta prices.
But you're going to have a lot of flights to choose from that day.
A lot of flights.
A lot of locations.
Yep. And you don't have to buy all the upgrades and all that. Like you can be in the back of the plane, the last one getting off, if you don't care about your time.
Duffel bag for a couple of days and a short flight, yeah.
Yeah, so
and this was the wrong time for them to do that with the crisis that the FAA and the airlines are going through anyway, with all the airplanes falling out the sky.
Yeah.
People scared to travel. This was like a real
They say domestic flights, like the flight travel is down.
Yeah.
I just seen a report on that, so.
So this is a very interesting and peculiar time for them to be making these changes. I guess we'll be watching them closely to see what happens.
That's a terrible Yeah, definitely terrible timing. But
But
I,
they see, I mean, they see these other airlines. I mean, Spirit charges like $70 for,
yes.
a bag over 40 pounds
Oh my God.
to and from. So that's 140 just in bags. So I think
Yeah.
they're looking at companies like Spirit and they're like, hey, people are
But yeah,
breaking their
Spirit just
leg.
went out of business. They just went bankrupt. So
They did just go bankrupt. And then they also made an announcement saying that they're the only one that hasn't had a crash like in the whole history of their airline.
yeah, that's. I mean, that's
They haven't had
good.
a fatality ever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
so
I
that
mean, I
is good.
wonder what they got going on versus. I mean, maybe. I mean, with Delta, they just probably take more flights, which means they have a higher probability of. I don't know. I'm trying to justify Delta, but I don't
Delta's
know.
number one. They just need to chill out on that price a little bit. They do need to have premium pricing to show that they're the best, so I get that. But bring it down a little bit. Golly, Delta. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're the best. There's not even a second close.
yeah, Delta.
A close second.
I like Delta. I only flown on Delta, Southwest, Spirit, and that might be it. I don't think I ever got on United, American. I don't think I never got on any of those. So I'm more of a Spirit and Delta guy. But let's talk about the middle class in America. What it takes to be middle class. So, company called Smart Asset. They did a study, and now they're finding that in some of your major cities, middle class is considered ranging from 49,000 all the way up to 160,000. So we're in Georgia, so to be middle class, you have to earn at least 49,000 up to 160,000. So that's a good point because people were saying like, well, that's a huge range. That lets you know that even the people who make 106 figures and everybody want to make six figures, you're still considered middle class in the eyes of the global or the national economy because yes, $100,000 is a lot of money to you based on where you come from or where you live. But 160,000 in some of these neighborhoods is actually like you're probably the poorest person in your neighborhood. Like you're not making that much money.
So
Um,
if you're broke, you need to live in. Oh, not number one is your city, Detroit.
oh my God.
Not you only need to make 30. The median income is 38,000. I'm not laughing. I'm from close to Michigan, so I don't want to. No, but my
Now
state make
she
way
just
more
called me
money.
broke online. Oh man, that's
Yo,
crazy.
that's crazy. $26,000 a
That's
year
all
is
you need to
considered
make
middle class.
middle class. That's why
James,
when I
that's
say I'm from
crazy.
the slums, I'm from the slums, bruh. East side of Detroit,
Wow. All the
man.
cities on here is exactly what I expected. Actually, for the poor cities, it's Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out to all my Ohio people. Ohio's on here again for Toledo, Buffalo, New York, Memphis, Tennessee. I kind of expected that. I didn't expect Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I would have thought, I guess it's just particular to Milwaukee because I would think Wisconsin has a stronger economy than that. Newark, New
Yep.
Jersey, that sounds about on par. Ohio on here again with
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
And these are the major cities in
And
Ohio, so
then
Ohio must be.
New Orleans, I definitely expected that. Lubbock, Texas, I didn't expect Texas to be on there at all.
Yeah,
Okay, and
no,
then the highest middle class, again, exactly where I thought they would be. Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland, New Hampshire, California, Hawaii, Washington. Utah always surprises me. Colorado, Connecticut. Those are exactly where I thought they would be.
yeah,
That makes
that sounds about right. The top 10 states with the lowest middle income threshold. Mississippi, the median income in Mississippi is 54,000. The lowest bound middle class income is 36,000. Hold on, so you saying? Well, I guess the state of Mississippi. That makes sense. 'Cause I'm thinking they're saying a specific city.
Nah, just the state.
Yeah, yeah.
But are we surprised at
Well,
Mississippi being number one?
well, I was in my mind comparing it to Detroit at 26, but I'm like,
The city, yeah, but not
yeah,
Michigan.
it's the city. Yeah, Michigan. Yeah,
Now
you're
Michigan
right.
gonna go pound for pound with
Oh
some
yeah, Michigan
rich
got
states.
that. Michigan got that paper. We got good universities. You know, what I mean, you got one of the top universities, University of Michigan. Like, we produce good talent. But Detroit, man, I mean, and this is what I be saying. I'm from Detroit. These Detroit women are some of the hardest women to date, bro. Like, they be really on that. You gotta make this, like you gotta make that. Like I want a man to do this, cash me out, take
But
me.
y'all have a culture of doing that for a long time. That's what I like about Detroit
No,
is that the
no.
guys take care of their
And
ladies.
that's my problem is because everybody in Detroit be trying to act like they got so much money, and then you see this data that you only need to make 26,000, and it's like it's crazy how like
I see what you're saying.
that low amount of money. So basically, out of 10 people, most of y'all walking around only making $25,000-$30,000, but y'all acting as if and y'all talking as if like y'all make so much money, and it's just not the reality. So that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit.
I see your point. I'm with you. When you say it like that, I get it.
Yeah, that definitely hurt my feelings. So all right, let's the top 10 states with the middle income threshold. We said so. Louisiana's number 3, Arkansas, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Alabama, New Mexico, Tennessee, Ohio. Yeah, that make. I mean, it all makes sense. When you hear about data and things like this, do you think about like I thought about before I moved to Atlanta, I looked up statistics and all of that type of stuff. Did you do that when you made your decision, or was it just like I just want to move to Atlanta, period? Because I was
No,
gonna
I
move to
definitely did.
Houston, because Houston is right up on par with like Atlanta. I thought about DC, but I couldn't find an apartment in DC. It was just like all the apartments was like crazy.
I definitely considered it. Even now, if I were to leave the Atlanta area, I would be looking for somewhere that had a healthy black middle class, because that's not a lot of places have that. But that's one of the things I keep in mind. I want to be around, yeah, black middle class people,
Well,
and I feel like in general, when you look at states, I feel like the whiter the state is, the stronger their numbers are.
and
That's why Detroit is struggling the way that it is,
yeah,
because it was
Detroit's
such a black city for a long time.
Detroit is I think it might be the blackest city in America in terms of just like raw citizens that actually stay in Detroit.
Yeah, until they get gentrified, DC was the same situation. DC was
Yeah.
literally the slums until they got gentrified. So cities and states, I look at them both like the where I'm from, Minnesota has a really strong economy, and I think it's because it's a very homogenous society there.
And here's my problem with okay, Detroit was so strong because of the big three, Ford, GM, Chrysler, whatever. They was making a lot of cars there. Detroit literally put the world on wheels. Like that's our claim to fame. And when Trump say he want to bring manufacturing back and stuff like that, a lot of people don't understand like that is why Detroit and Ohio is like that's why Detroit and a lot of those cities in Ohio that you mentioned, those were all cities that had plants for these automakers. And when they moved to Mexico and all of these other places and starts shipping the cars back to America, um, and they still selling the same cars for higher prices, but they getting made for way less. That is why a lot of these cities are decimated and they don't have any middle class or like any type of prosperous future. Is because all of our infrastructure that built up our middle class was taken away from us. The high school I went to was literally walking distance from the first factory, the Henry Ford factory, in Highland Park, Michigan, which is basically Detroit. Um, it's decimated over there. It's no houses, but that was the suburbs. That was like the Buckhead of how Atlanta's Buckhead. Highland Park. That's how it was because it was in close proximity to the um the factories and stuff like that. So
It was by design, though. In my opinion, it was by design. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about last episode with the higher education situation.
hmm
You know, with the rise of higher education, I look at higher education as a bubble, just like the real estate bubble.
yeah,
You know, in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was like real estate, real estate, real estate, right? And all these fraudulent things were happening, all these high interest rates, and then it all burst.
yep,
And so, as that was happening, they did the same thing with education. And so, we created this narrative and this like media push to say that higher education is your key to making more money. Not industry, not trade, not
not skill.
entrepreneurship, not skill, not working in a factory, and not labor. So as we moved away from that and more people began to take out loans for inflated fake money to go to school, and it became frowned upon or shunned upon to be a factory worker or a laborer or, you know, work with your hands. Women were like, I don't want a man that's, you know, driving a trash truck, even though they might be making $80,000 a year, right?
100,000 easy,
Right.
yeah.
So that's kind of like the narrative that got created. And so I think that when we moved away from that, that's when all of these things happened. That's when our infrastructure started failing, jobs were lost, pride was lost. And then you have all these people in school, and then what happened? Like what we talked about last episode, they come out of school and they can't even necessarily get a job. So it's all conflated. It's all by design, and dang it, man.
Yeah, I want to touch on one thing you said when you talked about like you want to stay in a place that have a black middle class. Elon Musk and Trump are trying to quote unquote cut the government. They even announced like the Department of Education is about to get cut, about 50% of workers or whatever. Maryland is one of the strong. I think it's the strongest city for black, like for the black middle class, and that's because of its proximity to those government jobs, and a lot of those jobs are by black people.
No doubt.
And if you know they're gonna be the first ones to get cut if they cut the government in half and they cut all of these organizations. So that's another thing to think about. Like when we're cheering on, oh, cut the government, it's like, well, it's really gonna affect black people. Like they're not gonna affect white people because when they cut these jobs, yeah, you see the white people crying online, but they're gonna go get another job. You who's been working in the government for the 10 years and you black and you stay in Maryland and you got $1 million house and all of this, when you get cut, you're not going to be able to get that same type of income and job again.
Because they're simultaneously getting rid of all the, initiatives that would have helped you.
Exactly. So that's just something to think about. Make sure you get skilled so you can continue paying the bills. And no matter if somebody cut you or not, or cut your program or not, you're still able to make the same amount of money and live the same lifestyle because when the government come through and cut it out, black people gonna be you the last one hired and you gonna be the first one fired, and we all know it's just a cycle.
And there's programs out here, like I always tell people, don't be ashamed, don't be too good to go to trade schools. There's tons and tons of like free training programs, community resources that you can find to get, to gain skills and trades to make money. So there's really not a lot of excuses. Get out here and get it.
All right, guys, appreciate y'all. We're gonna be coming back next week. Keep sending us the content. Somebody actually sent me the Summer Walker content, so that was definitely dope. We appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram. The brand page is Black Millionaires. My personal page is James Hill TV, and your personal page
is Shorty Mac ATL.
All right, peace.